I'm going to have a thesis here and you clean it up or dial me in to where it might be accurate or not. Evolution, 2.5 million years, the brain, that particular portion of the brain has not evolved. It's the fight or flight piece of it. Yet the other area has, and over time, whether it was the wheel, fire, railroads, the complexity and the technology of human life didn't necessarily require more evolution of the brain, and the speed at which things were happening. Now it's moving too fast, and we need to go to the neural gym, if you will, and be more matter of fact about developing those capacities. A, is that accurate, kind of what you just said? And then B, clearly, because I'm a human being and I want to do stuff, how do you do that?
So number one, I love this neural gym analogy that you use, Seth. It's just like a muscle. Your brain is the best muscle that you have. And so we spend a ton of time lifting weights, training our muscles, thinking about, the other organs in our body. How much time do we spend on brain training and those brain gains?
Yeah.
Probably not enough. We're just too busy with all of the other things that need to be done. And so right now, we are in the thick of the sixth industrial revolution. The sixth industrial revolution is all about merging human beings and technology. And it's really not, a lot of people say, oh, it's a competition. It's going to be like the Terminator. AI is going to take over. Really what it's about is understanding the lexicon of artificial intelligence, which is not new, which has been around since 1956. It's just now more accessible to people. It's people understanding how can they intersect brain training, brain gains, and leveraging technology in ways to replace these repetitive tasks. How do people do that? It is entirely possible to do that. And one of the, my central thesis and what I focused my research on was, well, how do we actually do that? That sounds really, really nice. I want to have the biggest, strongest, most innovative brain possible. I really believe, my hypothesis of life, that's the goal. The overarching goal is to unlock each person's potential. The way you do that is truly through navigating something I discovered in my thesis work, which is called ballistic interruption. It sounds a little terrifying, but to simplify it,
say it again. Holistic interruption.
It's called ballistic
interruption. Gotcha.
And this is something I spoke about in my TED Talk in 2023. So I happen to be a cancer survivor. I happen to be, in my personal life, someone that navigated, divorce, cancer, raising a child alone for more than a decade with kind of no support. The biggest question I get asked is, well, how did you do it? How did you found 6 companies and sell 2 and IPO 3 and be a neuroscientist and be a mom and, kind of keep your kid alive? How did you do that? I don't have the secret answer to everything, but I can say that it was all about unlocking the potential of when there is chaos, when there is something I'm unfamiliar with, instead of reacting with panic and instinct, it is training your brain through repetition to react with logic and rational thought. And the way you do that is truly through a series of exercises where you build a bridge. Like literally, you're building new brain cells that connect this part of the brain, which is all instinct and survival. You're connecting it to the front part of the brain. And you're rerouting. I want you to think of it like an engine. You've got all of these pistons that are running, that are functioning. What you want to happen is when you encounter the next ChatGPT out there, instead of panicking and instead of thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to take my job, how do you react with logic and rational thought and critical thinking? And so you can train your brain to avoid that default mode, that let me go into fight or flight, let me go into panic. because in neuroscience MRIs, like we can actually see what happens to people. Most people don't know this. If you look at an MRI and you see what happens in the brain when someone is trying to learn something new, if they do not learn something new and they keep reacting with panic every time something new comes into their sphere of existence, the brain shrinks by up to 30% because they're consistently
Wow.
exposed to cortisol, which is the stress hormone, adrenaline. All of this intense stress shrinks your brain if you don't get over that survival mode and you don't focus on learning something new. And I love showing this to audiences because they kind of sit back and say, "Oh, I thought I was just stressed out." No, you're actually shrinking your brain
Right.
over time. And that's just your brain. That's not even talking about what it does to the other organs in your body. Just your brain, when you're navigating something new, needs you to invest in what I call neural resilience. And it's called ballistic interruption because you're interrupting that default mode.